This is 1 in 54, a presentation of Anderson Center for Autism. 1 in 54 is a weekly show devoted to topics related to autism spectrum disorder.
Good morning and welcome to 1 in 54, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky, Chief Development Officer at Anderson Center for Autism. And this morning I'm speaking with Julia Garvey and Kerrie Hall, who are the co-founders of Minute Masters, which you can find at minutemasters.org. Kerrie and Julia, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
It's my pleasure. We're always looking for to talk to interesting people doing interesting things in the field of autism on this show. And I know that Minute Masters is sort of more comprehensive, a little broader than autism specifically. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what you have to say about it as we get into the actual programs. First, though, I'd love to start with you, Julia, if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself, telling us a little bit about your background professionally and anything personal you'd like to add that may have influenced what you're doing now.
Definitely. So my name is Julia Garvey. I am a certified special education teacher. I have my bachelor's degree in early childhood and childhood education and my master's degree in special education. I've been working as a teacher for 5 years now, and I've always had a love for music and dance. Kerrie and I are lifelong friends, and we've always shared that love for music and dance. So we came together and were able to create this program.
Great. Well, now before we introduce Kerrie, at some point after we introduce Kerrie, we need to go back and figure out how long you actually have known each other, and how long you've been doing music and dance together. So, Kerrie Hall, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Yeah. So I am an occupational therapist. I have my master's in occupational therapy with a pediatric specialization, bachelor's in health science, and a bachelor's in psychology. And just like Julia, I've always had a love for music and dancing and really, working with the special education community. So we're just so excited to be able to combine these two, our worlds of this passion for special education and music and dance. So we're really excited to be doing what we're doing.
That's great. Honestly, I've interviewed a lot of people on this podcast and just met a lot of people throughout the 15 years that I've been at Anderson, and both from a fundraising perspective, but also from a programmatic and sort of creative perspective, the best things seem to come from people who take something that they're passionate about and then find a way to sort of uniquely pair that with something that they're doing for a living or maybe have some educational background in. So it sounds like, just from what both of you how you described yourselves, have taken that approach. So I'm excited to hear more about how this all turned into Minute Masters. But before we get to that, just how long have the two of you known each other? Do you go way back, like to your serious youth? And I have to say that because I think you're still on the young side. But were you dancing and singing when you were younger together?
Yeah, so we were both dancing and singing when we were younger. Unfortunately not together. We have known each other since really kindergarten, but we really started to become like very close friends when we were about 14 years old. So it's been like 10, 15 years now. It's a long time. Yeah.
That's great. That's awesome. All right. So that probably also makes it what you're doing together even more fun too, I would think, if you get to do it with somebody that you've known for so long.
Totally.
Fabulous. All right. And then probably when somebody's messing up on one of the videos, you just that much more comfortable calling them out on it, right? Like redos, do-overs.
No, it's true. We always say that because, of course, running a business or an organization, there's a lot of things that go into it, the videos, everything. So it's nice that we're so comfortable with each other that it's never awkward. We're able to just be friendly about it, and we get along very well, which is always helpful.
That's fantastic. I would, and probably for the people who watch them, when your personalities come through like that, it makes it that much more enjoyable. So great. Why don't you tell us, one of you, doesn't matter to me who it is, but one of you could just give an overview of what Minute Masters is, and then we can get into some of, how you developed it and where to find it. But what is it?
Definitely. So Minute Masters, it's an online video series, and it's an inclusive and educational resource designed to help users reach goals, increase independence, and gain confidence. And we do this through song and sensory-specific movement. Something that we include throughout the entire series as well is we promote social emotional learning throughout all of our content.
Nice. Great. Can you give me an example or give us an example of both I guess something that you might see when watching one of these videos that might connect to a specific goal that somebody might be working on?
Absolutely. Yeah. So our series we have 6 categories throughout the series. So one of the categories is healthy habits. So one of our songs is called Wash Your Hands with Me. So every song, in our series begins with a learning target, which is designed to really help users have a set goal of what they're going to accomplish. So in the beginning of the video, we begin with I can wash my hands. So they're set, they're ready to know what skill they're going to be learning. And then the song really just walks them through the process of washing their hands, again, in a fun and engaging way. So we have song, we have movement, we make a little dance to it. So it just really helps them, learn that skill, which is so important, especially right now, but also have fun and maybe not even realizing how much they're learning through this song. And I do want to mention that all the songs in the video are in the series are a minute long or less. That's why we call ourselves the Minute Masters.
Perfect. And also that works so well for people, I really think all people, but definitely younger people, or certainly people who are on the autism spectrum or might be facing other learning or behavioral or IDD challenges of any kind. And even some maybe physical challenges, a shorter time frame of something that they have to watch, but maybe something that repetition works. And I love that you brought in music, because music often makes something that otherwise could be sort of bland to be repeated and repeated and repeated. It becomes fun.
Absolutely.
I mean, how many times do we have songs stuck in our heads for 3 days? And you just can't stop. Eventually, you know all the words.
Absolutely. And that's exactly how they were designed. We designed it with that in mind. So they are, and even the moves that you'll see throughout the videos, lots of repetition, even just the melodies themselves. We made sure to really include that throughout all our videos. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the videos out there too, like you said, are longer. And we know for this type of audience specifically, that's not always the best. So that's exactly why we created it that way.
And you break the whatever the goal is or the skill is, you break it out down into steps during the video?
Yes. Yeah. So a lot of our videos follow the social story format as well. Yeah. So it really walks them, beginning to end through exactly what they're going to experience. So hand washing, for example, really does break it down, lets them know why we wash our hands. Sometimes they might feel sticky. Sometimes they feel clean, but we still wash them anyway. And then it breaks them down, clap, scrub, and wash your hands. And it really walks them through it. So
yeah, that's fantastic. I'm glad you're doing it that way. I find social stories really helpful, and we use them all the time at Anderson. But the other thing that we use at Anderson, which was eye-opening to me when I first started there, are task analysis strips that really break down each individual task to much smaller scale, which are teachable then much more easily and faster and kind of reinforcing. And I remember the first time I saw a toothbrushing task analysis strip, because up until the time I was introduced to Anderson Center for Autism, I was like, go brush your teeth, or I'm going to go brush your teeth. It was one task, not 27 different parts, which I think is somewhere around there on our task analysis. So that's great that you've taken that into consideration. Kerrie, who is your audience? Julia mentioned your audience, can kind of take this information in really easily. Who are you targeting with these?
So it's really for anybody who can benefit from it. We really designed it for the special education community. We really thought this was such a need, because a lot of the videos out there are more fast-paced, maybe not designed to be accessible to all learners. So that was the intent, for it to be really just anybody. If you're in a wheelchair, we have seated modifications, individuals with autism, Down syndrome, really that, special education community. We've also found it be beneficial to early education as well, like preschoolers and toddlers. So really, really anybody that can benefit from it. We've found different results among different types of people.
Fantastic. And when did you start this? How long have you been going?
So we started our dance class about 4 years ago, but our official Minute Masters, we just launched in August, September. Oh,
it's really new. How's it going?
Yeah, it's very new.
You have a lot of followers?
We do. Yeah. A lot of users. We've actually kind of had people from all over the country, which is really cool. So we have users, California, Michigan, which is really great, because that was really the intent behind it, to reach people everywhere, and help as many people as possible. So it's really great to see it being used throughout the country.
That's great. And is it free to access your videos?
So we have a couple free on YouTube, because we wanted to kind of have everybody be able to use as much as we could. And then we also do have a subscription version. which just gives, you really see the learning targets. It's there. You have more videos in the subscription option, but we do have some available for free on YouTube.
Fantastic. Well, that makes sense. I mean, you're putting a tremendous amount of effort and time and expertise into this. So it's a business.
Exactly.
And you told me before, I think your website is minutemasters.org.
Yep.
And that's one word all spelled out, Minute Masters.
Minutemasters.org. Yeah, that's correct.
All right. So we want everybody to go to the website to check out more of these videos, learn a little bit more about Julia and Kerrie and their background, and also what they're doing here with these videos. I will tell you everything that you've said so far. I can imagine, just because it seems to, from what you're saying, really mirror the way that we do a lot of instruction, both for activities of daily living, ADLs at Anderson, as well as almost every other skill that we're working on. And so I'm excited about this. I think it's great to offer instruction in a variety of ways. And I can just tell that your videos are probably a lot of fun. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we want to hear more about maybe some more examples of some of what it takes to develop one of these videos and how long it takes, and get into some of the nitty gritty, and then hear about what your plans are for the future. All right. This is 1 in 54, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky, and we'll be right back.
I've got a math question for you. When you add tolerance, subtract prejudice, and multiply efforts to treat one another with respect, what do you get? Less division. And school sports have it down to a science. Looking for an example of what can happen when we realize there's more that unites us than divides us? Look no further than high school sports in New York.
This message presented by the New York State Public High School Athletic Association and the New York State Athletic Administrators Association.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
And now 1 in 54 continues on 100.7 WHUD. This is a weekly community affairs program presented by the Anderson Center for Autism.
Welcome back to 1 in 54, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky, and I'm talking today with Julia Garvey and Kerrie Hall, who are the founders of Minute Masters. You can check them out on minutemasters.org and also find a couple of their videos that are free of charge on YouTube. However, I'm sure that you'll find more information and an opportunity to subscribe for all the videos when you go to the website, again, minutemasters.org. So we were talking a little bit about kind of your backgrounds, what got you thinking about doing this. Are both of you also in practice? Are you doing OT and teaching in addition to this work?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're constantly, I would think that keeps things fresh for you, right? Because you're constantly having new clients, new students, new families. Do you encourage folks to give you feedback on how you can make the next video just even better?
Definitely, yeah. So we definitely talk with our students who we're working with, and, we see if some of the songs benefit them, which they really love, and parents as well. So we're constantly getting new ideas, especially parents who are looking for help with a new skill, or teachers who are saying, we could really use help with this skill. It just gives us ideas on more content to create as we move forward. So, it's something just that, we can sit together and, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but sit together and just have this idea, get to writing the song, and just work together to really perfect it and make it exactly what we want it to be, so that, again, we can add that to our library and just get it out there to help. So our students are definitely still our inspiration, and parents, educators, it's really constant, in the works.
Yep. That's great. It's nice to have sort of a natural, kind of, a fertile landscape, so to speak, in terms of ideas. So you're never quite done. But your comment actually got me thinking about another question I had, which is, who writes the songs? Who choreographs the dances? What's your creative process, and how long would a video typically take?
Definitely. So we actually write all of the songs. We create all of the melodies and the choreography as well. So it's just the two of us on this team. We do do it all. But again, it's something that we love. So it does take a while, again, because you could be going back and forth. Just again, with that, I'll give you another example. One of our songs is It's a Fire Drill. So it walks the user through, of course.
Good one. Very important. Oh my God. Mm-hmm.
So we come up with the idea and then we sit down together and just bounce ideas back and forth of the lyrics. Then we create our melody to go with it, make it really fun, a catchy melody. And then we record our songs and then we create the choreography as well. And it doesn't even go in that order necessarily. It's kind of all like it works together. So maybe we'll have an idea for a move first and, it really depends, but just Kerrie and I. Yeah.
Well, it's great. I mean, there's something nice about keeping it small also, because it sounds like this was developed with so much out of such an organic kind of process, and both of your mutual love for dance and music, and also your appreciation for each other as friends, and then moving into your professional lives that really nicely sort of coincide. Mm-hmm. Keeping it small, just to the two of you, also means that you decide the direction and you decide how close to your originally sort of the integrity of your original idea, how far you want to kind of branch out from that versus how tight you want to keep it. So I get that. So where do you do this? Do you have a studio where you record and also do the work on your choreography, or are you working separately and then coming together to kind of say, hey, I wrote this, or hey, I came up with this. What do you think? How do you give it more?
Yeah. So it's a little bit of both. So we, a lot of Zoom calls, with each other. We live close, but Zoom's always just easy to hop on. Yeah. So a lot of Zoom calls, we'll meet up. And then also we do voice memos. That's a big thing that we do with each other. So I remember one of our songs is called Time for Library, and I could not think of the melody. Kerrie was having a hard time too. And we're like, what could we do? And then I was in I was in my room and I was like, I got it. And it just came to me. So I recorded it, sent it to her. She's like, I love it. So lots of voice memos, but yeah, so we come together, bounce ideas back and forth, off each other over this whole process. And then we go to a recording studio. We're working with a video production who actually films the videos. So we go to the recording studio, film the songs, and then we had another separate film day. And we were able to shoot the videos there and put them all together.
That's great. So, do you have a favorite, each of you? Do you have an individual favorite video so far?
I don't think I could decide. I think we have a couple that we love the most, but it's so hard to pick. We really do like them all a lot. Do you have a favorite, Julia? I don't know.
I don't, because we just love to dance and sing. So I think it depends what mood we're in. You know what I mean? Like sometimes, I think it just depends how we're feeling that day. Cause it's a good collection. So I don't think I have one favorite. No. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, just thought I would ask, but that's not a terrible problem to have. And also just curious, outside of your all of your professional life, do you dance and sing elsewhere, or do you write? Are you songwriters in any other domain, in any other capacity, or is it all channeled here at Minute Masters?
It's really all channeled here at Minute Masters. And that's what was so, very special about this project is we're not songwriters outside of this. We really had never done songwriting before. And I think it was something that was just kind of, like you said, very organic. And because we cared about it so much, we look back and we're like, oh my gosh, these are pretty good songs for people who never had written songs before. We were very impressed with how it all kind of came together. So it is kind of interesting that outside of this, we're not songwriters, we're not, professional dancers or anything like that. So it's very much this, just this passion that we're able to do things that we've never done because we care about this so much.
That's great. What do you have plans for the future? What are some either plans or maybe dreams that you have for the future of either this program, Minute Masters, continuing or getting bigger or changing in any way, or something completely new?
I think just to, again, as Kerrie said before, just to reach as many lives as possible from, I think we touched on this a little bit before, but the whole idea came because we created the first inclusive dance class in our community. Mm-hmm. So that's where this all started. And then when we were teaching that, Kerrie would always say, how could we, we had to cap that at 6 students in the class just to give them that individualized attention. So Kerrie would always say, how can we reach more people? We have 6 here, which is great, but we want to reach more. And it wasn't until we sent, we wanted the students to learn the moves week to week. We really wanted something to help them. So we created 1 minute long videos of the choreography we were teaching them. And they came back the following week with the moves fully memorized. We were blown away. We're like, and parents started telling us we use it as a reward, or, we watch them all the time. that's where the idea came. We're like, well, if we want to reach more people and they're learning this much through video instruction, let's teach more than dance. So that's always been our goal, is just to reach as many people as possible. So I think that's our plans right now, is just getting out there, having this resource available, as Kerrie said, the free ones on YouTube, just to really help in any way that we can. Then, of course, those who want to subscribe. So just getting the word out, creating more content. As I said before, we have a suggestion box on our site. So anybody who has an idea that they'd like, just pop it in there, and hopefully we can get to work and just help as many, children as we can.
It's really fantastic. I love that. So you just want to keep growing it and keep having people get impacted by it. I would assume that there's, opportunities for classroom teachers to use this. I know at Anderson, because we, really focus in on a lot of ABA, applied behavior analysis, when it comes to instruction. In many capacities, you're always looking for creative reinforcers. And so I love that you just shared, Julia, that some families were using them as kind of rewards or reinforcers in the home. My guess is, your students probably loved having dance class with you, and they probably missed you when they weren't there. And so you yourselves are a reinforcer. And then at the same time, they reinforced you by coming to class and actually knowing the moves, which then reinforces everybody, because you get to learn new things and you get that much better. So just fantastic. I love this. Do you work primarily, or do you design these primarily for a younger audience? Do you get feedback that there are adults maybe who are facing some various challenges or have unique learning needs that also utilize the videos or enjoy them?
So it's really, like I said, it's been kind of a combination of both. We've seen, older, younger. I think in the future, we've definitely heard feedback from people who are, like you said, maybe older adults who struggle in different areas of their lives. And that's definitely something we'd like to expand upon in the future, like maybe having more, like you said, ADLs that focus on people that are even older. So we would definitely like to continue to reach people who really across the lifespan is what we would really like.
I think that your model right now really strikes me as very inclusive. And I love that you don't really have boundaries yet, or maybe never, because that hopefully means that more and more people will just come and find you, and their feedback will then inform you in terms of what maybe next steps might be. But Absolutely. It sounds awesome. I would encourage everybody that's listening to go to minutmasters.org and check out the videos and subscribe and get involved. Sounds like you're also really into receiving feedback from people who've seen them. So give feedback, check them out and give feedback. Let Kerrie and Julia know what you think about what they're doing. And I appreciate you coming on the show and talking about it. I'm sure it's certainly going to share your website around the Anderson community, because I don't know that it's something that everybody's aware of, but certainly in the autism community, there are a number of things that you're addressing that I know of that are just really key, that we hear all the time, which is movement and exercise, something that is doable now in the time of the pandemic, where you're sort of stuck inside and there's a lot of screens and a lot of video opportunity as opposed to live in-person classes. Short can be repetitive, music, all of that. There's so much. And also with the message and with the skill development, the two that you shared with me are both two big areas. I know that is a major focus. Obviously, again, pandemic times, hand washing becomes even more important than it ever was, even though it really always was important. Yeah. All of a sudden, everybody realized how important hand washing is. But also the fire drill one, I am fascinated by, because that is one that, again, unless you're in the field of working with people with special needs, you don't often think of obviously the scary implications, but also the number of steps are involved in following, the instructions when that bell goes off. And so the more, varied ways that we have in our back pocket to address that and to teach that skill, the safer every community will be. So
absolutely.
Thank you, Julia and Kerrie from Minute Masters. We really appreciate you being on the show today. And again, check out your website, minutmasters.org.
Thank you so much. I just thought of something just quickly to add. Sure. We also have our Spotify is coming out January 6th. So if anyone, that's also free in addition to the YouTube page. So we have a couple more songs that we'll be adding on Spotify as a free option for people as well.
Fantastic. Hey, maybe you have a new market in gyms.
Hey, yeah.
Hey, you never know. Suddenly there's going to be a Minute Masters class. I'm just putting it out there to the universe. You never know.
We are totally open to wherever it goes. Absolutely.
All right. Sounds good. Ladies, thank you so much for being on the show, and good luck. Best of luck with everything.
Thank you so much again.
This is 1 in 54, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky, and remember, Anderson cares.
You've been listening to 1 in 54, a presentation of Anderson Center for Autism. Join us for another edition of the show at the same time next week.